r/AskReddit. What's the most professional way you've heard / said? Duck you. In the workplace. I do it help desk. We have a person in it who is one of those people who just likes to hear herself talk. And can go on for quite a while. One day I pick up the phone. And someone is asking for her. Here's the interaction. Me, this is Wyatt, how can I help? User, hi. I was working with person earlier to try and fix some issue I can't remember. Me, oh yeah. Give me 1 second, I'll see if she's at her desk and I'll transfer you over. User, please don't. Just the tone in their voice as they said that made it clear that they really did not want to spend any more time on the phone with that person. That sounds almost desperate to me, haha. Did you help them out or transfer them anyway? I did end up helping them out. It was just a simple issue with their email or something. Nothing particularly difficult.
Claim your free AirPods today by clicking the first link in the description down below.
I'm not contractually obligated to fulfill that request. It is also important to note that doing so would also be a violation of international trade laws. I'm not contractually obligated to fulfill that request. It is also important to note that doing so would also be a violation of international animal husbandry laws. See, it works with everything. As per my previous email. Or, let's take this offline. Or, interesting. Moving on. I have to bust out the as per my previous email all the damn time. Not so much as a duck you, but more of a for duck's sake. Can you ducking read? We've been over this. The extra passive aggressive version mentions the date of said previous email. Even better when it was yesterday's date. And or copying in the relevant text. In quotes. As a separate paragraph. In bold. If we are going nuclear. I'm so glad I do most of my work communication via email. I'd lose my head on these people over the phone. And it gives me a nice paper trail of I told you about this weeks ago. One of the higher ups asked me to do a few things. I did all but one. And emailed them explaining that I needed person X to do something before that last thing could be done. The boss called me and asked why I didn't do that thing. I asked if he had read my email. He said no. He just saw I had emailed him and assumed I was done. The duck you lawyer letters that I have seen usually start with please be advised and end with govern yourself accordingly. Letters from lawyers are a goldmine of passive aggressive language. Work in fam law and oh my god, my boss is the king of sass. I love it. My favorite one is in anticipation of the statement. Basically I know what you're gonna ducking say. And it won't fly. I used to have a coworker who was an know-it-all who could actually back it up. We had a memory leak for non-programmers, a very big issue, and he found it and was making the fix. He said something in the lines of the leak is in line 247 and our boss goes nuts. Spends an hour ranting about how he wrote that code himself and there was no way the leak was there. And how dumb he was to think it was there. Coworker lets him talk for an hour. Then with the best poker face says that's great, but the leak is in line 247. Then demonstrates it in a minute. How stupid do you have to be to think you'll never make a coding mistake? Seriously, I find good programmers correlate with humble programmers. Are they confident they can solve your problem? Yes. Are they confident they can do it the best way? Without making mistakes? Hell no. I'm terribly sorry you feel that way. Please feel free to contact our complaints department. To someone who wanted an appointment on a day when there were no appointments available, but insisted that she would come in on that day, at that time. You're more than welcome to come in on that day, but I'm afraid there will be nobody available to see you. You'll have much better luck if we simply book an appointment for a different day. I'm terribly sorry you feel that way. How to make it seem like you're apologizing without actually apologizing. Exactly. Plus, the more polite you are, the more resounding the condemnation. I'll look into that. I'll be sure to give it all my divided attention. I'll be sure to give that the attention it deserves if they're especially annoying/stupid. Per my email is a great way of putting it. Edited for grammar. As per my last email, see attached. With the previous email included as an attachment. And they're bosked. I've only had to do it a couple of times. But I felt absolutely savage. That is absolutely savage. I've had to CC bosses before but never thought of using the previous email as an attachment, hahaha. My family works in the textile industry. Once, my dad worked at a company that had a vendor that made buttons for various types of clothes. They had not paid this vendor yet, but my dad's boss was still pressuring him to pressure the vendor to get something done. I don't recall the specifics. Well, the button vendor had taken enough hit. So he made her a custom run of buttons and sent them back a shirt in which every button had "Duck You. Pay Me" custom engraved into it. Professional etiquette? No. Definitely not. Professional "Duck You"? Most definitely. Those buttons would definitely sell. Bruh, if I can get those on a shirt it would be epic. Me. A private in the army. Working at a checkpoint in the Middle East. To a colonel and several captains/lieutenants. Me. So you all need to step out of the vehicle so I can do my search. Lieutenant, driver, I have a distinguished visitor. Let us through. Me. Sir, unless you have a memo you need to submit to a search. Colonel, I'm a goddamn DV, distinguished visitor. Let me in. Me. Do you have a memo? Memos were sometimes approved which allowed vehicles to pass without searches. Driver, I'm sure it's all taken care of. Me. I have not received a memo for you guys, and you don't have one yourselves. Step out of the vehicle or turn around and leave. I.e. get out, or turn around, arseholes. Sounds like not much, but I'm at the absolute lowest end of the totem pole and this guy commands hundreds of soldiers. Edit, word/abbreviations. And thanks for the gold. Stranger. Absolute bullhit. You followed procedure. The O5 and their cluster duck were trying to shortcut security procedures. In different circumstances, that would have been met without going far. It might have rolled downhill on you later. But you did the right thing. Me. I'd have asked for an order. In writing. That I should ignore SOP. Oh, don't worry about that. Arrest GM was the vehicle behind him. Got out and backed me up and told the guy to deal with it. Officer was not happy but the vehicle and bags were searched. The O6, it was a colonel. Not LTC. My bad. Went to our doc and yelled at my section leader. It went to the PSG to the sec for commander to the colonel overseeing her and then he never bothered us again. I was told I did the right thing by everyone I talked to about it. I might be a private but this is my ECP. I work as a contractor to the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration. The best professional docu I've seen was via email. There's this other contractor who is one of those types of know-it-alls that has to tell everyone how they should do things. Often unsolicited. And likes to write really wordy, long emails to convince everyone of how smart he is. One day, he sent out an email suggesting some sweeping changes to our all-out schedule for some new ATC equipment. And took the liberty of sending his revised schedule to everyone feds. Contractors. Upper management. Upper management. Sites. Etc. After several hours of us all privately marveling at the audacity and stupidity of this guy's massive overstep, the fed that is in charge of our entire program replied alls. The email started hilariously with "Thank you for your interest in aviation safety. As we discussed, contractors cannot set policy for the agency and do not have the authority to make decisions on behalf of the government." Then it went on for several paragraphs, ending with tips on how he can apply for jobs within the federal agency if he wants to pull hit like this. It was a massively embarrassing smackdown for this guy. We were all super happy to see him get his peen knocked in the dirt. It's kind of hard to explain why the first sentence "Thank you for your interest in aviation safety" was so funny without being able to describe the guy that wrote it. But it was meant to be super condescending. I still have the email saved in my inbox. Please commission someone to make a needlepoint that says "Thank you for your interest in aviation safety" and gift it to the Fed guy. He deserves something to commemorate that reply. Ooh, that sounds like a great project. I could cross stitch or embroider. Cross stitch takes me more time. Cute little planes and safety signs with a middle finger somewhere. Now, I don't normally cross stitch anything without the word duck in it. But this is just as good. A cute border and fun colors would make it cool. too. I could even make a pillow for him to hug at night or display on his couch. When I quit my last job, I wrote a kindly email to all my colleagues thanking them for their guidance and relationship, explaining how I enjoyed my time there. Around 60 people were on the email. I did not put my abusive sociopath manager or enabling cold-hearted director on the email. They found out, and I'm sure others noticed, after nothing more than a cold response to my first quitting email to my group. All of a sudden my director wanted to make amends to save face now that I sent the wider email. She asked me why I didn't add her on the email about enjoying working with people and liking my time there. I responded because it wouldn't be honest. Bridges burned there. But man, those two ruined my life for a while. Did something similar. In my goodbye email I extensively thanked everyone, including past managers, but put only a short cursory remark about the current manager. That manager always shot down projects and initiatives in our group. He also, being on a significantly different time zone, always scheduled meeting on time that were non-standard work hours at my location. Even though I repeatedly asked him not to. For those folks that schedule meetings outside regular work hours, I always just decline the meeting with the response that I will not be in office at that time. During an exit interview. Yep, I had a great 3 years here. But, you worked here for 5 years. Just like 6th grade were the best 2 years of my life. In a monthly team meeting of about 45 people, a woman stood up and announced, "I respectfully disagree with everything you just said." It was amazing. We still use it around the workplace as a joke. Any background to this? What's the story? It was a monthly meeting with 45 people there. Sometime during the meeting, a woman stood up and announced, "I respectfully disagree with everything you just said." Attorney, I want these changes made to the document. My boss, no. Attorney, you have to make these changes. My boss, I'm not going to. Attorney, I insist. My boss, but it's not going to happen. So here we are. A lot hinges on the fact that, in most circumstances, people are not allowed to hit you with a mallet. They put up all kinds of visible and invisible signs that say, "Do not do this," in the hope that it'll work. But if it doesn't, then they shrug. Because there is, really, no real mallet at all. This is from one of the Discworld books, and it slowly burrowed its way into my brain more and more over time. Whenever someone says something like "I insist" or "I demand," my first thought is always, or, more often than not, the only answer is nothing. See also The Dark Knight, when the Joker is taunting Batman in the interrogation room. We had a problem with the hospital not releasing records. Lots of back and forth and back and forth. It boiled down to them ignoring a subpoena. Apparently they can do that. Legal type, give us these records. Hospital, nope. Assessors, well, duck. Guess we don't have those records. Let's hold any further questions until the end. I'm in a non-managerial role, but would host meetings and training. We have a few coworkers that loves to talk and hear the sound of their own voice, while a few are just bhutty annoyances. I use this line a few times now in the beginning of meetings and just paste my speech so PPL can catch up. It's worked so far, and we cover everything on the agenda faster. In some cases it distracts them for asking non-important questions. My ex-boss once sent an email to her team signed "Kind Retards." I guess it could have been a typo, but still. Not quite fitting. The topic is the equally Freudian typo of replacing the S apostrophe of customer with an N. The keys aren't even near each other. They're right next to each other on the Dvorak layout, in case you ever need an excuse. Thank you for your input. Does anyone have something valuable to add? The absence of else makes a huge difference. I worked for a hitty manager who trashed my work in a performance review. It was an absurd critique that I contested with upper management. In the body of my response, I used my manager's initials rather than his full name. His initials were MF, This needs to be upvoted more because. Bravo. Once heard a coworker bust out in a monotone voice. Ma'am, I need you to know that I'm not emotionally invested in this conversation. What do you need so we can both go on with our lives? Really had to stifle my laughter in my cube next to her. I wish I could say that to customers.